Ever pulled an old spark plug from an engine and held it in your hand? That tough little piece of ceramic and metal, coated in the history of 1,000 explosions, feels like the end of something. But what if I told you it's actually a beginning? This humble piece of scrap is a ticket into a world of industrial chic creation, where you can transform functional cast-offs into remarkable tools and decor. Let's start with what you can actually make. Imagine taking that spark plug and forging it into a tool. You could create a spark knife. Here's how. Carefully break away the ceramic insulator, safety glasses on always. The clean metal base becomes the ferrule, the collar of your knife. Take a broken file, grind it into your perfect blade shape with a tang, and epoxy it right into the spark plug's heart. Then screw that whole assembly into a wooden handle you've drilled to match. The result: a unique, industrial pocket knife that's a conversation piece in your hand. Or grab a massive truck plug and create a miniature anvil for jewelry work. Clean it, grind the electrode flat into a perfect tiny striking surface, and weld its base to a heavy steel plate for stability. Suddenly, you have a pint-sized forge tool for shaping rings and delicate copper. For something simpler, a rustic bottle opener is just a weld away. Braze a steel hook onto the plug's body, and you have an ultra-durable, mechanic-themed opener for your shop or kitchen. Even the plug itself can become a precision tool. Break off the ceramic, and with an angle grinder, shape that solid metal electrode. A sharp point makes a fine punch for starting drill holes. A flat, beveled edge becomes a tough little chisel for detail work. Harden the tip with heat, and you've reclaimed a piece of junk into a hardened tool. But the spark plug's second life isn't just about utility, it's about art. Dive into steampunk sculptures by gathering plugs, old gears, pipes, and wire. Assemble them into robot figures with plug bodies and gear eyes, or fuse them into abstract geometric shapes. Weld several to a central rod, and you've built a jewelry tree with industrial branches. For a touch of atmosphere, create a gritty candle holder. Remove the ceramic to leave a hollow, threaded shaft that cradles a glass votive, or simply let a tea light rest on the cleaned metal base. The texture and weight make it a uniquely masculine accent. Frame your memories differently by gluing clean spark plugs to the corners of a simple wooden picture frame. For a bolder statement, build the entire border from plugs, then spray it all a uniform matte black or copper. It becomes a one-of-a-kind frame for the car enthusiast or the industrial design lover. Bring whimsy to your garden by crafting robot bug critters. Use a large plug for the body, attach smaller plugs or nuts for eyes, and give it legs and antennae from stiff wire or old screws. These weather-resistant creatures add a playful, steampunk touch peeking out from your flower beds. And don't forget wearable art. Small motorcycle plugs make fantastic keychains. Just add a split ring to the terminal nut. Attach a jump ring for a necklace, or solder a post onto a tiny plug for a pair of steampunk earrings. A quick clear coat of lacquer seals the deal and protects your clothes. Now before you start, there's a crucial ritual: preparation and safety. These plugs are coated in the grime of their first life, carbon, oil, fuel. Soak them in degreaser, scrub with a wire brush. To separate the ceramic from the metal, the vise and hammer method works. Grip the metal base tight and give the ceramic a gentle, controlled tap. Remember, safety glasses and gloves are non-negotiable. Once clean, use a grinder to shape and deburr. When joining pieces, choose your bond wisely. Epoxy for decor, brazing for stronger metal joints, and welding for tools that need to endure force. As you create, remember a few pro tips. Spark plugs sing when paired with other materials. Think reclaimed wood, old leather, or copper pipe. Play with scale. A single plug makes a statement, but 50 can become an entire wall installation. Embrace the patina. That burnt carbon and heat discoloration tells the story of its past life. You can find these plugs for free if you ask. Auto shops and junkyards are treasure troves. And start simple. A keychain is a 5-minute victory. A welded sculpture can be a weekend's proud accomplishment. This whole journey is built on a simple philosophy. You're giving an object designed for a single, hidden, mechanical purpose a second life as something visible, artistic, and deeply personal. It's a celebration of engineering, durability, and the pure creative joy of reuse. So grab some plugs, put on your safety gear, and start building. That gritty, industrial masterpiece is waiting in the scrap pile. You just have to see it. Let's talk about something that might sound absurd at first. The advanced art of spark plug alchemy. This isn't about simple crafts anymore. This is about seeing that humble piece of engine scrap not as an end, but as the raw material for engineering, for science, for art that makes you think. Imagine turning that plug into a tool of precision. You could create a spark plug micrometer. Take two identical plugs, remove their side electrodes to leave the pristine center ones. Mount one fixed on a wooden base, the other on a parallel, sliding brass rail. The gap between those two sharp points becomes your measuring juncture. Etch a vernier scale onto the rail, and you have a unique, steampunk caliber tool accurate to 0.5 millimeter, a conversation piece for your workshop that actually works. Or tap into physics. That ceramic insulator is a fantastic dielectric. Carefully remove it intact, coat it with alternating foil strips, and mount it between brass spheres on a rotating handle. You've just created a key element of a Wimshurst machine, a classic electrostatic generator. It's less a practical tool and more a beautiful demonstration of high-voltage principles. And for the truly daring, what about harnessing the plug's original violent purpose? You could build a miniature arc welder, modify a plug to accept external electrodes, connect it to a variable power supply with a capacitor bank, build a focusing chamber around the gap, and add foot pedal control. The result? A tool for welding microscopic components or fusing metal for jewelry. This is a project that demands extreme caution and respect, but it turns the spark into a controlled creative force. This journey takes us into the realm of scientific apparatus. Build a spark gap radio straight out of Tesla's era. Use the spark plug gap itself as your tuned circuit element, pair it with a copper coil and capacitor, adjust the gap to tune into the AM band, and mount it all on a walnut base. It's a working piece of history, a functional desk sculpture that crackles with the origins of wireless communication. You can demonstrate the piezoelectric effect, where force creates electricity, by mounting a spark plug ceramic in a small brass hammer mechanism wired to an LED. Strike it, and it flashes. Encase it in clear acrylic, and you have a perfect teaching tool for science classrooms and maker spaces. For the automotive mind, create a combustion chamber pressure tester model. Modify a plug to accept a pressure gauge, mount it in a clear acrylic cylinder, add a hand pump, and visually demonstrate the relationship between pressure and the voltage needed for a spark. It's a dynamic teaching model for any garage or engineering lab. Now let's make some noise, literally. Create an ignition symphony, a percussive instrument from 12 to 24 spark plugs suspended from brass rods at different heights. Tune each by adding or removing mass from the electrodes and strike them with copper, rubber, or felt mallets. The sound is a spectrum of metallic, crystalline tones, from high pings to deep dongs, a performance piece for experimental musicians. Or for a breathtaking visual, create Tesla coil singing plugs. Modify plugs to accept audio input and connect them to a Tesla coil secondary. Musical frequencies will make plasma arcs dance between the electrodes. Arrange multiple plugs in geometric patterns, and you have a stunning installation where electricity visualizes sound. How about a clock that tells time with fire? Build a binary clock with 6 spark plugs, each representing a binary digit for hours, minutes, and seconds. Program an Arduino controller to fire the appropriate plugs. Encase them in a vacuum chamber filled with neon or argon gas, and each tick becomes a colored spark, a mesmerizing light show for those who speak the language of ones and zeros. This philosophy can be refined into luxury. Craft a spark plug fountain pen using the ceramic insulator as the barrel, plating the metal base in gold or rhodium, and fitting it with a German gold nib. It becomes a $900 writing instrument for the engineer who has everything. Build automotive heritage display cases, sourcing plugs from historically significant races or vehicles. Mount them in shadow boxes with plaques telling their story. 1986 Porsche 956 Le Mans winner, cylinder 3, alongside a piston fragment or valve. This is museum-grade preservation for collector garages. Or celebrate the plug's life of service with carbon-encased sculptures. Select plugs with perfect, skirt-like carbon deposits, encase them in optical-grade resin, and polish them to a gem-like finish. This is the frozen spark, where wear is not cleaned away, but enshrined as beauty. Think bigger, architectural scale. Create spark plug terrazzo flooring by crushing ceramic insulators into aggregate and mixing them with clear epoxy, with whole metal bases suspended as inclusions. Polish it to a high gloss for a floor that tells 1,000 stories underfoot. Design acoustic diffuser panels by arranging hundreds of plugs in precise mathematical sequences on a plywood backing. They scatter sound waves to improve a room's acoustics while creating a breathtaking, industrial textured wall. Or cast plugs into clear resin blocks to use as structural bricks for interior partitions, wiring them with fiber optics for softly illuminated walls. This vision requires thousands of plugs, a call to auto shops nationwide. Now look closer. Imagine a microcosmos, a galaxy inside a single plug. Remove the center electrode to create a chamber, use microsculpture techniques to build a tiny landscape or starfield inside, seal it with an optical glass lens, and add a micro-LED. View it through a loop, and you hold a hidden universe. Create a memory matrix, a grid of plugs, each from a significant car or engine in your life. Behind each, place an NFC tag so a tap from a smartphone plays the story. This blends physical artifact with digital heartbeat. Or build a conceptual quantum mechanics demonstrator, arranging plugs as electron shells with LEDs that sequence to show electrons jumping between energy states, controlled by a quantum random number generator. The spark plug's fundamental act becomes a metaphor for subatomic behavior. Reimagine the plug as part of a living system. A closed-loop aquaponic starter uses a modified plug to hold growing medium, suspended above a small aquarium, using its copper electrodes as mineral supplements. The plug's original ignition is reimagined as germination. An atmospheric water harvester uses an array of plugs painted with hydrophilic coating, suspended in a cooled frame to collect condensation. The component that once helped burn fossil fuel now harvests pure water, a beautiful, poetic reversal. For the ultimate meta project, consider the engine that builds itself. Modify a small engine with CNC-like control to use a spark plug as a tool to draw or write. The component that creates the art is also the product, a self-referential loop of creation. Or initiate a spark plug exchange network, a global art project where artists worldwide use a standardized, art-ready plug format, trading works on a non-monetary system and connecting them in an annual exhibition. This creates community through shared industrial material. So why does this deep dive matter? Because every spark plug is a dense metaphor. It represents controlled explosion, chaos directed into motion. It embodies precise timing, the measurement of moments. It is energy transformation, electrical to thermal to kinetic. It is an interface point between systems, materials, and scales. When you transform one, you're not just repurposing. You're changing its time scale from milliseconds of operation to decades of display. You're inverting its purpose from hidden function to celebrated art. You're transcending its origin from a specific engine to a universal symbol. Your mindset evolves. Level 1 says, this looks cool as a candle holder. Level 2 says, this demonstrates piezoelectric principles. Level 3 asks, what is the boundary between waste and artifact? Level 4 creates entirely new systems of meaning from industrial detritus. So here is your next project, the Spark Plug Mandala. Collect 108 plugs, a sacred number. Arrange them in concentric circles by size, color, and wear. Place one perfect new plug at the center. Photograph it at dawn, then disassemble it. Give one plug to each of 108 different creators. Document what they make. Finally, exhibit all 109 pieces together, the original mandala and its distributed consciousness. This isn't craft. This is archaeology of the future. You are excavating meaning from the layers of our industrial present to build a bridge to what comes next. The spark plug waited 100 years to become art. What are you waiting for? Go create something that makes people see the ordinary as extraordinary, the functional as philosophical, the discarded as divine.